Yeah, I might have to turn down some settings. Like, genuinely, what the fuck? Oh my god! Yo guys, what is up? Mike's on our Path of Exile 2 video, and today we're going over a quick little update to our Lightning Arrow crit build. This isn't going to be like a full breakdown video. I just kind of want to talk about some like chase items that really pump up the damage of the build, because I started really like juicing my maps and making them way harder, and I was actually starting to die, and I was putting a bunch of currency into maps, and I was dying. I didn't have the damage, I didn't have the survivability, and so I made a few upgrades to the build that have enabled me to become an absolute monster in these super juice maps, and I'm farming currency like crazy. However, I do apologize, I haven't like since doing those upgrades been able to play the game very much. Long story short, my CPU in my computer died. I had an Intel like i4-9 whatever. Apparently those CPUs specifically were having some issues, and so my whole setup just died. And so the PC company that I work with, Zydax PCs, they are the best, is sending me out a new computer. I'm on a temporary one right now, so I do apologize if there's any issues with the video, and I do apologize that I haven't been able to stream. Hopefully I can get everything sorted, but I did kind of want to make this video so that you guys have some ideas on how like to really start scaling our endgame damage and survivability up a ton. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's do this. So the first thing that I want to talk about with endgame upgrades is scaling up your crit damage bonus. Now, I am currently at 515% crit damage bonus, which is massive. I think the first time I made this like crit lightning arrow and on our ice shot, I was sitting around 400. So we've squeaked out another like 100% crit damage bonus, which is awesome. Specifically for bosses, obviously we're not gonna have 100% crit chance on ads. We don't really need it, honestly. We are using ambush, so our first shot is gonna have around 65% crit chance on mobs. But for bosses with Eye of Winter proccing, we get to 100% crit chance, and so now I'm dealing like 6 times damage on bosses, which is disgusting. That is a ton of damage. And the number one thing to scale up your crit damage bonus, and I do apologize for not emphasizing this, and I honestly didn't realize how crazy this stat was, but it's crit damage bonus on your bow. Specifically your bow. Now, I had heard people talking about how crit damage bonus was multiplicative, and obviously, like, that makes sense. Crit damage is a multiplier to your damage. What I didn't realize, and once again, this is my fault, is the wording on your bow is very different than wording anywhere else. So, for example, if you look at my quiver, it specifically says increased crit damage bonus for attacks. This increased applies an additive increase. So I'm getting an additive 29% bonus to my attack damage if I get crit damage bonus on my quiver. However, if we look at our bow, it says 36 to crit damage bonus. There specifically is removing the wording of increased, which means that this 36% crit damage bonus is actually a more multiplier to our crit damage. And that makes it one of the craziest stats that you can get, because you can't find this anywhere else besides your bow, this like multiplier. So for example, I've got this bow, right? This is like a 387 DPS bow. The one that I'm wearing is a 400 DPS bow, so they're pretty similar. The big thing is that this one doesn't have crit chance, and this one doesn't have crit damage bonus, and this one does. This one only has 36. But if we look at our crit damage bonus, we go from 515 from having crit damage bonus all the way down to 379. So just that like 36% bonus is like almost 200% crit damage for the build. And obviously, if we're scaling our crit damage on the build and we're a crit build, we're gonna want the biggest damage multiplier. And so if you are looking for endgame upgrades for the crit build, getting a crit damage bonus roll on your bow will spike your damage up so significantly, especially on bosses. I had one on my old bow. My old bow had like 23%, and just getting from 23 to like 36 jumped me about 100 crit damage bonus, which is pretty ridiculous. And so with that, we can pair picking up jewels that have, like, for example, this is, I think, the best jewel that I own right now. Where is it? This gives us crit damage bonus, or sorry, bonuses from our equipped quiver. And obviously my equipped quiver has crit damage bonus, so I get more effects of all my quiver stuff. And then it's got crit damage bonus and crit chance and evasion rating. I would consider this a pretty like GG jewel for the build, because we're going to get more crit chance from this, more crit damage, and then we get more bonuses from our quiver, which our quiver is giving us obviously a lot of crit and crit damage. And so this is incredible. Just to give you an idea, this jewel, if I take it off, we lose about 6,000 damage from this jewel alone, which is really, really powerful. Now, obviously, finding a bow with good base damage, good crit chance, and good crit damage bonus is definitely not the easiest thing, especially with how crazy the bow market is right now. That is why this is an endgame upgrade, but I will leave a trade search link in the description if you're looking for a really good bow. Obviously, depending on how much currency you have to spend, is going to depend on what kind of bow that you can get, but if you are looking for a big end game damage upgrade, finding something with high crit damage bonus will make a massive difference. The next big item upgrade that I want to mention is the Headhunter belt. Now, for those of you that have played Path of Exile 1, you might know about this belt. I'm going to do a breakdown of it for those of you that don't, but this belt is incredibly powerful. And I knew about this belt, and I was just thinking that it wouldn't be worth. I didn't want to buy it. This is one of the most worth things that I've ever bought for the build. I cannot even begin to describe how fun it is to use this. So the big thing with this belt is it reads when you kill a rare monster, you gain its modifiers for 20 seconds. And those are any modifiers. So those monsters that have proximal tangibility that are really annoying, when you kill them, you get proximal tangibility for 20 seconds. But you can also get all of their modifiers, and you can stack up as many modifiers as you possibly can. So you're running around in maps with 30 different buffs from the monsters that you're killing, and this works incredibly well in Breach, where there's a high density of rare monsters. So who needs a bow that fires 4 arrows when you can kill a rare that has additional projectiles, and you get all of those things, all those modifiers on your map where you see the monster getting extra damage is cold. You kill that rare, now you get extra damage is cold, 50% AoE, 100% increased movement speed, and all of your shots fire 6 arrows. And you can stack all of these up, and it looks insane. That monsters teleporting around, you get that ability. If you see any of the gameplay that's probably playing right now, it just looks crazy because you get so powerful, and it's a huge increase to not only your survivability and your damage, but also mainly your clear speed. These giga juiced breach maps that I was talking about earlier, this just makes them so much easier. Once again, I was dying in my breaches because I just was getting swarmed by enemies, especially if I didn't have positive modifiers. If the enemies had a bunch of extra Ellie res, or they had ailment threshold and my cold heralds weren't proccing, I just didn't have the AoE. That's just not an issue with the Headhunter belt. This is definitely an end game upgrade, once again, why the subject of the video, but it's so powerful. The other thing that's just nice quality of life is it comes with a lot of dex. You can get technically a max roll of 40 dexterity. If you corrupt it, you could get even more dexterity, but dexterity is not something we can normally get on the belt, so it solves a lot of the stat pressure that you can experience. I'm gonna be honest, I just wear this for bosses anyways, because of the dexterity, and the max life isn't bad, and you can even bring the buffs from rares into boss fights. So for example, if you kill a bunch of rares outside of a boss arena, you walk into the boss arena, you've got 20 seconds of giga damage, and I'm not even seeing boss health bars anymore on T18 maps, which is disgusting. The other change to the build is I swapped out Ghost Dance for Grim Feast, specifically for running Breach content. If you did not know, Grim Feast, whenever we kill an enemy, we have a chance to spawn a Energy Shield Remnant. This gives us 130 Energy Shield, and it overflows our max energy shield. So if we have 500 energy shield, it'll overflow to like 1,000. I've got 700 energy shield right now, so it'll overflow to like 1,400. And when there's so many enemies attacking us at the same time, getting a ton of just energy shield and an extra barrier of like EHP is really powerful. I still like Ghost Dance for bosses because Grim Feast doesn't do anything for bosses. Ghost Dance allows us to, whenever we get hit, to recover that energy shield, so it's a more valuable layer. But it just like Ghost Dance couldn't keep up with all the enemies in Breach, so I'm using Grim Feast. And then to like further boost Grim Feast, I've changed from Subterfuge Mask back over to Spectral Ward. I keep swapping between these two. I'd like to get both, honestly, but I am using Spectral Ward now. This gives us a bunch of max energy shield based off of our body armor. And if you wanted to get even crazier with energy shield, you could use like an Adziri's Disdain. This gives us even more energy shield based off of our max life. So this gives me like, 937 energy shield, which would give us about 2,000 energy shield as life in maps, which is really nice. But currently I'm just using my like big energy shield helmet. And that is another change that I made to the build for mapping. Basically, we unspec'd these points and then put them up to Spectral Ward for some extra energy shield. The last thing I wanted to mention is specifically for like Pinnacle bosses like T4 Zesht or, Arbiter of Ash, you can do a small little tweak to the build just to cook out some extra damage. Obviously, like we've got Eye of Winners going off like crazy. So I've been messing around with taking off some of our crit chance nodes, specifically Sniper, where, it's going to give us more crit chance when we're further away. We're usually barrel stuffing Pinnacle bosses because of all of the orbs going off, and I'm also using Point Blank. But we can put, like, some of our crit chance nodes. I just took off, like, some crit chance here and some of the crit chance here, and we can put them into crit damage multiplier. With Eye of Winter, we're going to have a ton of crit damage, and these three nodes give us 80% crit damage bonus. So now I'm at like 534% crit damage. And obviously when you're fighting like a Pinnacle boss, even if you are using like a Thieves Torment, your mana will go down. And so now we can click this Mana Flask and get 602% crit damage bonus, which is just revolting. Just like 7 times damage, and then all of that damage is getting multiplied by our shock magnitude, and that is just like a trick that we can do to do even more damage. Wouldn't really recommend doing that unless you're like going against a Pinnacle boss, because you're gonna want all your crush chance for like the rest of the stuff. But yeah, small little trick that we can do just to eke out a bit more damage on the build for those big boss fights. Guys, that's gonna do it for the like little update video. I know this is a bit different than normal because we didn't walk through like literally everything of the build, but I just posted an update a few days ago. But if you are looking for some endgame upgrades and ways to scale the build further, getting a Headhunter is massive, getting crit damage bonus on your bow is massive, and picking up some more crit chance, crit damage, and like jewels like that is another way to really scale your damage up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Peace.